So what is my thoughts about the Inmotion V13 when I own basically almost all the wheels from Inmotion, V8f, V11, V12 high speed, V12 high torque, and why I think that the Inmotion V13 is more than just a new wheel from Inmotion, but the evolution of everything that they understood they was going in the wrong direction or on the right direction. If you want to know everything about it, stay tuned until the end of the video. Hi everyone, Marcus here from MADpack, and if you love ECs, PVs and everything that have a E of electricity, this is the place for you. And today we are going to talk about the Inmotion V13 and what is my thoughts about that wheel. And I have to say that since I've done my first impressions before it came out, that is something that I'm a bit disappointed is with the weight. I was definitely expecting that the wheel was much lighter. One of the things that I'm really curious to know about it is what is the change in weight when you take out the suspension, because maybe in that configuration I'll use it more often. Also, if you want to see the V13 on this channel, please smash this video, share it everywhere, so in that way maybe Inmotion will send another wheel for me to review and to bring it to you guys. And this video is more to talk about my thoughts about Inmotion and obviously my relation with Inmotion. You guys know that I always work very closely with Inmotion, helping them, for example, to develop the Inmotion V12 high speed. That until today is my favorite wheel. I just have done recently a video where I compare with the Inmotion V12 high torque, and I explain why this is my favorite wheel to go to work, but why this one continued to be my favorite wheel. So if you don't have seen that video, definitely check that one. And today we are going to talk about the evolution. The Inmotion V8f was the first wheel that I received from Inmotion. I have to say that in that time when they asked me to send it, I was not really excited about it because it was a very slow wheel. Fun fact, I have sold a lot of my wheels, but that one I can sell it, and that is a big reason for that. I really like how compact it is, how easy it is to maneuver with that wheel, how balanced is the wheel. Also, in that type of category, is the lightest wheel that you have on the market. It's not super fast. You can unlock and do 40 kilometers per hour, but I like it also the waterproofing that you have on that wheel. You don't have the best waterproofing next to the front light, so you should put some tape on the front. That's the only place where I found that you can have some water going inside. You had the motherboard on the side. It became a bit complicated to take the tire, but very easy just to take the covers on the side. Something that I said to them, I would love that they come back to that type of experience where it's easy to disassemble a wheel, because when they jumped to the Inmotion V11, that wheel became too hard to disassemble and really complicated, and there is other problems in there, but we will talk about it. So that was my first impressions. I was not really excited because of the speed, but after using it constantly to go to the supermarket, to do short trips where I have my car and I park it, and after I just go around with it, if I have to go up the stairs, that wheel became one of the wheels that I definitely wanted to maintain on my arsenal, because it's a wheel that I use constantly. There is not 1 week that I don't take it at least to go to the supermarket. So definitely a plus in that wheel, and how, like I said, how easy it is to disassemble and to reach the motherboard, not the tire, but the motherboard at least, very easy to reach there. When we go to the Inmotion V11, definitely was their first attempt to have a suspension. I really like it, but in suspension is definitely not the best suspension that you have on the market. A bit disappointing in that side, but the wheel has been a wheel that I really like it. Yes, we know all the problems they had with the bearings, and that's one of the things that I want also to cover. They have learned a lot, so they have improved the bearing situation 3 times until they reach this last version. So now you have covers in rubber. So they saw online what other users they were doing and 3D printed, and I've done a video about that, how to cover your bearings if you have the first or second generation of the Inmotion V11. But if you have the V13, those bearings are completely sealed and there is no chances that you are going to ruin them. Obviously, this is a subject that is important for the Inmotion V13 since you have a hollow motor in that one. Definitely, if you are concerned about it, I think they learned their lesson, and now you will not have issues with the bearings if you jump for the Inmotion V13. But the biggest problem, in my opinion, that the Inmotion V11 had in that time was the size of this motherboard. Obviously this is just the bottom part, is missing some parts here, but I wanted just to bring and show you the massive difference that you have in size between the motherboard of the V11 and the motherboard of the V12, and it's massive. If you have a V11 and you have already disassembled a V11, you know that is really easy to burn your motherboard. Why? Because there is almost no space to put all the cables, and if you bend one slightly or if you touch something, you are going to ruin your motherboard. I think that with the V11 they learned that lesson, and they start developing what they now call on the Inmotion V13 the motherboard, the Raptor. And that concept that they have there is definitely not new, because when you look to the Inmotion V12 motherboard, you have also in different layers. On this interior part, you are going to have all the modules that they are going to control your LEDs and everything, but you have this stuck in 3 different layers. And that becomes so much easy to obviously repair or replace any parts that are damaged on this one. And another thing that they've done now recently is to have a completely transparent box. And that is another thing that I simply love it about this wheel or this motherboard, is that it tells you what is what. So what is that cable, where it comes from, and that helps you a lot to don't forget where to connect what. Definitely a plus, and definitely an approach that I would like to see other brands to do it. I have a Big Odd EX10 disassembled, and for sure I've done something wrong, and until today I didn't have the time to repair it and to find which cable is connected on the wrong place. So definitely a plus that you have here, but is not completely perfect, because I had the issue with the Inmotion V12 that we'll talk in a minute. Basically, when I disassemble everything, and because I thought that at Inmotion everything makes sense, the V12 is the first time that you have the phases of the cables not coming all from one side, but coming from both of the sides. That thing happens because on the V11, the cables, they are all compact in one of the sides, very, very close to the suspension, and it's very, very easy to damage the cables in there. And for that reason, Inmotion, on this case, have put the yellow phase from one side and the other 2 from the other side. And since Inmotion is so organized, putting everything together, and everything makes so much sense, and obviously if you have a V12 and you need to disassemble, be aware of this, because it took me months to discover what was the problem, is that the phases, even if everything makes sense and the yellow phases should come from the left, because the phases are on the front of the wheel, so the yellow is more on the left. When you put your tire, you need to put on the opposite way, so the yellow phase have to come from the right and cross all the wheel to the left. But Inmotion was not able to find that issue for me, and even distributors, they was not understanding what was wrong with my V12 high torque, until I saw a video of my good friend Wrong Way, and in a part I saw that the cable was coming from the other side, and I thought, okay, let me try, and he sorted out the issue. But be aware that Inmotion is definitely the company that is taking more time to understand how to make our life easier to disassemble our wheels. But this thing I was not expecting, since they are so organized in putting everything together. And obviously when I was connecting, the wheel was thinking, where is the front of the tire? And for that same reason, everything was crashing. If that happens to you before you even try to turn it on, and for sure I'm showing to you guys what happened when I turn it on, definitely check on the app. You connect the wheel to the energy and you can go on the app, and in that way you can see. If you try to check if there is a problem on the wheel, definitely it's going to say to you there is no problems with the motor, no problems with the motherboard, but you will see a triangle, a yellow triangle. So if you connect something wrong, don't try to connect the wheel, otherwise you are going to have the experience that I showed to you guys. And obviously when we went to the Inmotion V12, obviously we are going to have a much better motherboard, like I have already said, much more space, plenty of space to put all the cables. It runs really low in heat, and definitely that's a pro that I have with this motherboard. It's really hard that you basically damage this one or you connect something wrong, besides obviously the orientation of the motor, like I said. Yeah, obviously when we go to the V12 we have to talk about the issue of the cutout. I still have the original motherboard in here. I never changed it, and I'm still thinking, do I really need to change it? Because I've been really happy with all the experience that I have here. And since I have 2,000 kilometers on this wheel, 1,000 kilometers on the tester unit, and I never had a cutoff, I don't see the point to change it. That's my experience. It doesn't mean that you need to do exactly the same as me. But they learned the lesson also here. So they've been learning a lot of lessons since the beginning. So we wanted something faster. They give us that. They needed to make better protections for the bearings. They've done that. They needed better suspension. They've done that. You can see that is double forks now in both sides on the V13. Here we needed better MOSFETs. They've done that. They made that motherboard super advanced, 2 hollow motors, and that's so important. So if one hollow motor breaks for any reason, you will not have a cutoff on that wheel. So when we talk about safety, definitely the Inmotion V13 is the most advanced wheel that you can purchase at this point, since obviously it comes out to the market. As you can see, and obviously this is just my point of view, the V13 is much more than a new generation, a new wheel that they produce. They've been thinking about it since the beginning. So they've been trying to develop and coming out from that vision that we had about Inmotion. Inmotion is a company that do small wheels, not really fast, more or less waterproofing, and that's it. That's what they have to offer for us. But they show to us that with time they can give us much more. Yes, they had problems like other brands, but it seems for me the only brand that really find a problem and try to make it better, if it makes sense. And that gives me a reassurance to basically recommend the Inmotion wheels for you guys, because I don't see other brands really taking the step up to try to learn their mistakes and making a better wheel. So I'm really excited to try the V13. Not really excited about obviously that weight, but I have also to say that the V13 is not just a new generation of wheels. I think that with the V13, wheels like the Inmotion V8f, they are going to disappear from the market. I believe even an Inmotion V11 may disappear from the market, and they want to basically do the same as the companies of cars, electric cars, they are doing. So they have like a chassis that is standard for different models, and they just pick up some parts and they put together and they create a new device. So I think that all their wheels will be more modular. And when you try to disassemble the V12, is that experience is so easy. Obviously you still have a lot of screws to take it off, and also obviously if you go to the V13, it's so much easier to reach to the motor. You don't have to disconnect all the motherboard, but even here you don't have, so you just have to take from the top here, you have just to disconnect, take 4 screws, disconnect your phases and take it off. So you don't have to even physically take the motherboard from the V12. So they've been doing what we've been asking, and for that same reason I'm really excited to test that wheel. And obviously I'm really excited to see what Inmotion is going to do with the V14 or with smaller wheels that are a little bit more modular. I would love to see a 16-inch wheel with suspension like Bigod is doing the T4. Suspension is the only thing that is really missing on the V12, and if I had a 16-inch wheel with suspension, wow, that will be amazing with the type of waterproofing and all features that Inmotion can deliver to us that no other brands are doing at the minute. Yeah, I'm really excited about this wheel. Let me know in the comments below what is your thoughts about the V13 and if you agree with what I've just said now. But like I said, I think that the V13 is much more than a new wheel, a new concept, but is the evolution of a brand that tries to go above every single time. My name is Marco, this is MADpack. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment below, smash a thumbs up, do whatever you want, but always with a smile on your face, and I hope to see you in the next one.